Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to teach you guys how to use a Garmin Nuvi 200W or 200 series GPS units. These GPS units, they are one of Garmin's finest GPS units with the best software, most stable as far as not crashing right and left, and the greatest portability. They're slim, you can put them in your pocket or in your purse. They're very nice GPS units, very nice. So I'm going to explain from A to Z how to use these puppies. So first thing I'm gonna teach you is how to power it up and everything. So this is how the cradle looks like. This is where you mount the GPS. And the way you mount is the bottom part goes in first and the top part snaps in. So you insert the bottom part and snap in the top part like this, like that. The power cord or car cigarette lighter goes on the back right here. This is where it goes. You plug it in, bingo. And as soon as you plug it in, it turns on, but you could always slide the switch to turn it on. So once it turns on, it will load the maps, and it will take a while to load the maps. And again, this is 200W GPS unit, Garmin Nuvi 200W. So let's see, while it fires up and turns on. Whenever you turn on a GPS for the first time in the new location, it takes a very long time for it to find satellites. That doesn't mean that something's wrong with the GPS. It's just that for the first time, it's normal for it to take that long. Okay. So here we have the GPS unit up and running, and the first thing we need to do is go to settings and customize the GPS based on our specific needs. Everyone's need is different. So we click on settings. First we go to settings on top and we go to system settings. So GPS simulator is off. I like it to be off, but this is something that if you're indoors, it will simulate, and it will turn off the GPS receptor or the GPS radio. It's good to turn it off because you want it to be searching for satellites at all times. So that's why I keep it off. The benefit of GPS simulator is that if you're driving and you're entering a tunnel, of course a tunnel or underground path has no clear view of the sky, meaning it doesn't have any satellite signals. So the GPS will simulate your speed inside the tunnel or inside the underground path based on the speed at which you entered the tunnel or the underground street. So that's what the GPS simulator is used for. So I have it off right now. Usage mode is automobile, and you can change this based on your usage. For example, if you're riding a bicycle, you have to change it to bicycle. If you're riding a pedestrian, if you're a pedestrian or walking, then you have to change it to the pedestrian mode. If you choose the bicycle mode, the GPS will automatically take you through the routes that doesn't involve any freeways, or if you're in Europe, it doesn't involve any autobahns or places where bicycles are not allowed. If you choose pedestrian mode, the GPS will automatically calculate your route based on the path that a pedestrian is allowed to walk, and it's not going to take you to the freeways or roads where cars are strictly allowed. Okay? And the units of measurement, it's very important. If you're in the United States, you have to choose miles. If you're anywhere else in the world, including Canada and Mexico, you have to choose kilometers. So this is going to be used out of the country, not in the US, so I'm going to choose kilometers. Alright, next we're going to go back and to display, the display settings. The display settings have color mode, screenshot, and brightness. So the color mode is if you want the GPS to be in daytime, nighttime, or automatic. Automatic is the best because it will dim the screen of the GPS when you're driving at night, and it will automatically brighten the screen of the GPS when you're driving during the day. Now, the reason I have chosen daytime is that's what I like the most. It's very nice and bright, and also because when I'm shooting this video right now, the dark nighttime is not going to be very visible. See that? This is the nighttime. Everything will be dark, and the focus of the camera goes off and whatnot. That's why I have it on daytime. But if you put it on auto, it's much better, because then it will automatically change. Okay. Screenshot is the first screen which screenshot is if you take a shot of the screen where you are. If you enable it, you can take a shot of the map where you are. Screenshot means you can take a picture of what you see on the GPS screen. So it's good if you're traveling in a foreign country and you are not familiar with the surrounding where you are, then you can take a screenshot and see where you are, and you go from there. So basically it's a JPEG image of the screen. Brightness is currently at 100 for the video, but you have to put it in like 80 or 70 depending on what you like. For shooting this video, I put it on 100. Okay. And then if you click restore, it will restore the defaults. In every screen, if you click restore, it will load the default. But if you go back on the main menu and click restore, it will restore the default on everything. On all 8 or 9 items, it will restore it to the default settings or factory settings. Okay, now we're going to go to navigation. In navigation, there are several different types of continue searching. Yes. Okay. In navigation, there are several different types of preferences. Faster time, shorter distance, or off-road. Faster time, it will take you through the freeways and express lanes. Sorry about that. So anyways, talking about route preferences. If you choose faster time, faster time means the unit will take you through the freeways and avoid all red lights and whatnot. But if you choose shorter distance, it might take you through a lot of city streets and a lot of red lights and intersections that even though the distance is shorter, it will actually take much longer time for you to get from point A to point B. Now, shorter distance is only good if you are renting a vehicle and you are paying by the mile, in which case the lesser amount you drive it, the lesser amount the rental car company will charge you. So that's only the time this comes in handy. Other times the shorter distance comes in handy is that if you are new at driving and you don't really want to take freeways and you want to go through like streets and whatnot. Okay, and off-roading is obviously for people who are okay to go off-road. If that means you will get there faster, for that you obviously need to have a vehicle with four-wheel drive and fully equipped to be able to go off-road. Okay, alright, so avoidance is currently disabled, but I'm going to explain what avoidance means and how to enable it. Okay, avoidance, whichever box you check, that is what the GPS will avoid. For example, you will avoid U-turns if you are driving an RV or a semi-truck 18-wheeler with which it's very hard to make a U-turn. And sometimes in certain areas it's kind of impossible to make a U-turn. So you definitely want to avoid U-turns. Okay, if you want to avoid highways, that means the GPS will take you through regular street lights and street roads and small roads and streets and even alleys, but it will avoid highways at every cost. This means your vehicle has no permission to be in the highway. For example, you're riding a bicycle or one of those motorized bicycles which has no permission to get into the freeway, or some of those street legal golf carts which are allowed on the streets but not on highways. Then you have to avoid highways. Avoiding toll roads. If you avoid toll roads, you will not be taken through any highway or road where you have to pay a toll. Now, even though this seems like much wiser decision to avoid paying tolls, however, in certain countries, especially when I was in Italy and driving around in Italy, believe it or not, toll roads, as expensive as they were, like 15 euros or 11 euros, it saved us a lot more headache and time and a lot more gas compared to going from little roads and streets. So that's why it's not always a wise decision to make to avoid toll roads. Now, ferries, of course, you have to avoid if your vehicle doesn't fit in a ferry. For example, again, if you have an RV or a big vehicle. Carpool lanes is not a choice. You must avoid if you're driving alone. If you have companion, then you can not avoid it. So remember, whichever box you check, that's the box or that's the thing that the GPS will avoid. Okay, there are more. You scroll down. Then we have unpaved roads. You can avoid unpaved roads if your vehicle is a lowrider or a sedan that cannot handle unpaved roads. So that's what avoidance means. Okay, so currently nothing is being avoided. The GPS will go everywhere, anywhere it can go. Alright, let's go back. So that was the navigation. Now we go back to time. The time, you have two types of time, a 12-hour time format, 24-hour or UTC. Now, the time zone. Time zone, this is set to US Central, but you can change it to whichever area you live. This will be your home time where you live. You could be traveling to a different time zone, and the GPS clock or time will always show your home time. For example, if you set the time zone to Eastern time or Central time, even if you go to West Coast, it will show the Eastern time on the screen. Okay, so make sure you choose the right one. Okay, daylight savings, you know what that is. So that's if you live in Arizona, you don't have to change that. Otherwise, you leave it on automatic. It will automatically change the time based on daylight savings, which is, the clocks go 1 hour backwards in the fall season and 1 hour forward in spring season. Alright, so that's time. Language. Language, you have to choose. There are three different types of language settings. One is voice language. This is the language that will guide you and give you instructions saying like turn right or turn left. This is the language it will speak, American English. Text language is the language of each menu icon. For example, the word back, B-A-C-K, restore, or the very word language on top is currently set to English. You could change that to a different language. So obviously if you want to use it in a foreign country, you still want to keep it in English. However, keyboard language is the language of the addresses that you're entering. For example, if you're in Germany, the addresses are written in German, so you have to change the keyboard to German. If you're in Russia, all the addresses are in Russian language, so you have to change the keyboard in Russian. If you're in, let's see what, like in Denmark, you have to change to Denmark language. In Italian language, Spanish language. Again, these are the keyboard language. This will not change the verbal guidance. It will not change the menu buttons. Only the keyboard. For example, when you are about to enter an address and there are certain special characters on that address which is not in English alphabet, you have to have the correct keyboard. That's why you have to change that. Alright, so that was language. Security. Security is very important not to mess around with, because the Garmin lock is one of the things that you could change your GPS to a useless brick if you misuse it. Garmin lock, when you press this, it will ask you for 4-digit PIN. You enter it, and if you forget the 4-digit PIN, you have a chance to open it if you come back to the same geographic location and the same GPS coordinates where the PIN was originally set. So if you set up a PIN at home, you have to do it outside your house with a clear view of the sky, so the GPS have full 5-bar GPS signal. And then once you set up the code, if you forget the code what it was, let's say it was 1 2 3 4, and you forget that, when you come back home in the same exact spot, it will automatically unlock because it realizes it's back at your house. But if you set up this code in another place on the side of the road somewhere, and you forget where it was and you forget the pin, your GPS is a brick. You have to throw it away. It's useless. Even Garmin will not help you unlock it. Alright, safe mode is important. If you leave the safe mode off, it will allow you to enter the address information while the vehicle is in motion. If you leave the safe mode on, it will not allow you to enter address information when the vehicle is in motion. It will ask you to pull over safely and then enter the address so you don't get into an accident. Now, if you're a risky driver or a newbie at driving, you better leave this safe mode on. If you're an experienced driver, you may leave it off, but I still don't recommend leaving it off. But most people, like myself, leave it off because when I drive somewhere, I will ask my wife, who's sitting next to me, to enter the address for me. So I won't be getting my eyes off the road. She will be entering the address. That's why I have it off. Alright, so now proximity points. Proximity points are places and points that you get close to it and you want the GPS to warn you about. For example, if you're getting close to schools, close to hospitals or whatever. Currently, the proximity alert is on and it's engaged, and this GPS happened to have Garmin safety camera alert, which is very good, very handy. It warns you when you approach traffic cameras like a red light camera or speed camera. Now, this is not a big problem in the United States, but if you travel in Germany, as I have, there are cameras almost every mile. It's crazy. You're not going to believe how many cameras are out there. And you could be, the cameras took more pictures of me in Germany than in my wedding night. So that's very, very important to be careful. Not just because you intentionally drive fast. Sometimes you just don't know exactly what the speed limit is, or you don't know what the story is and who has the right of way, confusing roads, those are the things. So it's good to have the camera alert. Alright, so let's see. So that was it. That's the settings. Now, help files, it will tell you what to do about tools, about map, troubleshooting, whatnot. That's pretty good. Picture viewer, if you load pictures on your GPS, you can go to picture viewer and see the pictures, or you could have the picture show up when the GPS boots up. Calculator, simple calculator, you could say 5 times 5 and 25, and it's just like a calculator. Currency conversion is good, but it's not always correct because it's the rate changes all the time. But you could convert euros to dollars, and you could change euros to other currencies like that, and then you could change US dollars to other currencies. So these are not up to date. It gives you an idea, but like I said, they could be off. So if you click update, and then I don't know how update this is. This last update was August 31st 2005. So that's really old information. You have to hook it up to your computer to update. Okay. Alright, so unit conversion, this is standard. You don't have to worry. This is not going to change. You don't need to update. This is like how many kilometers is how many miles, an area. Like, let's go to distance, and you can change miles to millimeters to centimeters, or you can change kilometers to miles. This is something that a lot of people want to know. Like if I'm traveling 10 kilometers, how many miles that is? Let's put 10 here. 10. Okay, so if you're traveling 10 kilometers, that's 6.21 miles. That's how you can do that. It's a pretty neat feature to have. And then we have the world clock, which tells you what time in each country is. Like currently in Tokyo, it's 3:11, Sydney, Australia, 5:11, Moscow, 9 a.m. And all the U.S. Central Time is 12:10, and Pacific Time, of course, is 10:10 or 10:11. Well, that's what it is. So that's that. Now we will talk about how to start navigating. To navigate to a place, what you need to do is you need to press where to, and then if you have the address of the place you want to go, press address, and then after that you could change country or spell the state of the country. And then let's say if I am not going to California, I'm going to a different state, I click spell state, and I'm going to put New York. I'll put N. You don't have to put New York. You just put N and hit done, and it will give you the options to choose from: New Jersey, New York, and whatnot. Or if something else like I, and then you hit done. So I have Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Israel. Even though Israel is a country, but it treats Israel as a state. So that's how Garmin does. I don't know why. It's an independent country. It shouldn't be under the list of state. Okay, so that's how that works. So let's see. Now, this was if you have the address, but if you don't have the address, and you could go to points of interest. Let's say you're going to a new country and you want to find where's the nearest restaurant. Click points of interest, click food, what type of food, all food, American food, Asian food, you choose your choice and go from there. And then if you're in a new country and you don't have an address of a gas station, obviously you don't know where each gas station is, so you go points of interest. Again, let's go where to, points of interest, and then you go fuel, and then it will calculate and tell you where are the nearest fuel stations based on your specific location where you are. Okay, so and then you could go transit, like airplane, airports, bus station, train station, all those things, and then all transit, air transport, auto rental, ground transportation, and you can choose from there. Lodging, you can go and get some nap, like hotels closest to you, all different hotels. And you have shopping. If you need to go shopping, you click that. ATM and bank, you click that. If you want to go find a parking place, you click that. Okay, now what if you don't know? You can spell the name. Recreation and all those tourist attractions, hospitals, community centers, auto service, all these different points of interest. Now if you don't know, you just spell the name. For example, let's say I want to go to Burger King, so I'm gonna write B U. Oh, by the way, you could change the keyboard layout. Okay, Burger space King. Burger King. Done. So there is the closest Burger King right there, and then it's searching for additional ones. This one is in Hamasha Boulevard. It's written Jamacha, but it's pronounced Hamasha. And there you go on Broadway. We have another one on North Johnson Avenue. There is another one. So these are all the Burger Kings close to me. And you have to do this when you're under the clear sky outside, because currently I'm indoors. So the distance calculation is not accurate because I don't have good GPS signal. So that was spelling points of interest by spelling the name. Okay. Now recently found is very important if you're going to a new country, because you could be going somewhere and you probably don't know what is the address of that place that you really like. Then you can save that spot. You could go to like map, and you could just wherever you are, you could click on the car and save that place, save the location, or anywhere, like this location, anywhere in the map. You could, if you want to save that location. For example, let me zoom in. Let's say I am going and I see this lake. This lake is near. Let's see where that is near. Okay. La Amistad Lake. So that's probably in Mexico. So let's say I want to memorize that place. Okay, let's say I want, this area was very nice picnic area. I want to memorize it. I click on save. Save to favorites. That's it. That's simple. And then when you go back, you go where to, and then you go to your favorites, and those are the things. So this is probably the one that I saved. This is the one that I just saved. These come from factory, the Garmin locations. And if you click on go home, it takes you home, but you have to enter your home address. If you don't have a home address entered, it's not going to take you home. So the one that I just saved, I'm going to delete this one I'm going to delete. Edit, delete. Okay, so Garmin Asia, for example, I don't need. I'm going to delete. Edit, delete, like that. That's how you delete things. Okay, extras are optional items that you can get from Garmin. Intersection. It's very important because in a lot of countries they don't have specific street address for every place you go to. So what they do is they give you like cross street names. For example, they say, oh, my business is between Broadway and First Avenue. So you click here and then you enter the city where they are, or the state where they are. Let's say California, and then you spell the city or postal code. Let's say San Diego, for lack of a better place. San space D. So San Diego, right? Okay, now enter first street. So if the first street is Broadway, okay, that's whatever that is. Second is something else, and then it will take you to that the cross section of those two streets. That's where it will take you. So that is how we do the intersection. And then we have cities. You could go to cities, and then you can browse map and choose a spot in the map. This is handy if you're like browsing the map and you see a place you like, and you're like, oh, you're like, wow, that's a nice lake I see close by. And then you could just say, hey, you know what, I think I want to go to that lake. And then you just go, put the pointer to the lake, and then you click go. And the GPS will take you exactly where that lake is. Okay, so that's browse map. And then coordinates is very important in places where the addressing is not as accurate. Again, this reminds me of my trip in Italy, where I couldn't punch in the super long street names in Italian language. They were very complicated. Like a street name was as long as a sentence. Really, really complicated. So what I did is I asked for the hotel to give me the coordinates. So they gave me the coordinates, the north, west, or south, or east, and you enter the degrees, minutes, and whatnot, and it will take you there. So make sure you don't mix up N, W, or S, E. These have to be correct when you enter the coordinates, because if these are wrong, the particular coordinate that you're entering could be in the middle of the ocean. It's very important to have it correctly. And basically that's it. That's all the most important things you need to know about this Nuvi, Garmin Nuvi 200W GPS. I hope this video was educational and you learned something. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.